So people are now able to buy this from certain markets, some legal, some illegal. It is very popular amongst the youth. Hello, I'm Pej. I'm an interventionist. I help people with drug addiction, alcoholism, and mental health disorders. Today we're going to talk about psilocybin, mushrooms. I have personal experience with mushrooms. Back in the day, we used to take them when I was a teenager. We would like to go on long journeys. We would like to expand our minds. We like the patterns, all the different things that we would see with it. It seemed like something that we could, recreationally do. It wasn't something that we were regularly doing. It didn't taste that good, but we liked it. We went on long journeys throughout the night. Now, obviously, it's been around for many ages, right? I mean, this has been something that's been used ritualistically. There are people that have used it the hippies used to use it in their scene, definitely in the Grateful Dead scene. You used to see a lot of people that loved hallucinogens. Psilocybin has always been something that people love to use to expand their minds. And then, a lot of people are seeking spirituality through it and trying to expand their minds. I've actually known people in the recovery world who consider themselves sober that still will use psilocybin mushrooms to go on spiritual journeys throughout their mind and expand their minds. Now, what I've now seen, obviously in the last, let's say 5 or 6 years, is people that are microdosing and macrodosing. People that have mental health disorders. A lot of the community, the clinicians and doctors are now either requiring or recommending that their patients use this type of microdosing of psilocybin to be able to help them stabilize and to be more at ease, especially people that suffer from manic depression or manic depressive disorders. So when I first heard about this going on, especially with psilocybin, with various microdosing methods that are being used, including ketamine therapy and things like that, I was totally turned off to it. I thought, this is insane. How can this actually help people with those types of mental health disorders? But I try to keep an open mind to it, and I've also seen that it's actually helped some people. So again, I want to keep an open mind. I often have to question and wonder when people are, putting people in that direction of being on a microdosing, psilocybin. How long will they be doing this, and how long will it be treating their disorder? And is it something that they're going to have to do lifelong, or is it something that they do temporarily to be able to try to break through some barriers that they might be experiencing? What I'm seeing is it's becoming legalized in certain states. Obviously, if you follow the news, you can see what states it is legalized in. So now people that are distributing marijuana, cannabis legally, some that are licensed, they have the ability to prescribe psilocybin in various types of packaging and various types of doses. So people are now able to buy this from certain markets, some legal, some illegal. It is very popular amongst the youth. There are a lot of youngsters who are asking me or approaching me what my standpoint is, what my outlook is of them using this. Now, this is a very hard thing to be able to communicate to these youngsters, but I have to be very straightforward with them, because you have to understand, like, when I was their age, we were just experimenting. There wasn't people on TikTok or Instagram or anything like that where they were raising awareness or teaching us about substance abuse and prevention and things like that. So during that time, we were basically learning from our friends. And if they were using it and they were telling us that they were having fun, then we wanted to jump on that bandwagon. The thing is when you're obviously that young, your brain hasn't fully developed yet, not spiritually, not emotionally, not mentally. So there are some people that when they are using macrodosing, let's say, for example, psilocybin mushrooms, they may have psychotic breaks. It can happen with any kind of hallucinogen, and I've seen it happen firsthand, even back when I was using it, with various people that were doing it with us that were totally out of their minds. I'm talking to the point where they couldn't function anymore. They looked like they were having a nervous breakdown. They were actually having a nervous breakdown. And so, I cannot advocate for teenagers using this stuff. I understand there's a lot of people that when they talk about their experiences with psychedelics, that it was the best thing that ever happened to them. They were able to have a sense of oneness. They were able to, feel like they were at one with the earth and with all of humanity. But the problem is once it wears off, you're back in reality. And when you're in reality, you can't depend upon these, these journeys that you go on in your mind when using these types of things. So I do not encourage any adolescents to be using this stuff. I understand if there's a medical doctor who is recommending microdosing. I am not a doctor, so I do not get in the way of that. I'm not neither against it or for it. I feel like if it's actually going to, help somebody, and that's what somebody recommends, and that's what they try, and it helps them, great. I've also seen, some horror stories. I've seen people who have had numbers of years of sobriety more recently that ended up, going into very depressive states. So they started to seek out psilocybin, and they asked their psychiatrist or their doctors, what do you think about me doing this? And the doctor may recommend microdosing, and some of them actually started microdosing, but the next thing you know, they were macrodosing, and they were taking it in excess to the point where they were just out of their minds. So it's a very, touchy subject. I do want to continue to keep an open mind to it, but I also cannot advocate for it completely to the point where I can say everybody should be out doing mushrooms, everybody should be out experimenting with psilocybin. We have to be very careful as to who's distributing what and whose hands is getting on it. So yeah, there's my take on this whole psilocybin craze that's been going on. If you or somebody that you know is struggling with psilocybin addiction, you can always give me a call at 310-596-9356. I would love to be able to help you and explore options to get you or your loved one help with this.